The Champions League is back this week, guys, and there are some really big games coming this time, so we are here to predict it. Make sure, as always, guys, to share your predictions down in the comments. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my predictions. Be sure to drop a like on the video. Let's go for 2,000 likes. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. It really helps the channel, and subscribe. Thank you for all of your support. It's been brilliant. Let's keep it coming. Lots of Champions League videos still to come. So subscribe, like, share your predictions down below, and let's get straight into them. We've got a lot of games to get through, and we start with Napoli versus Eintracht Frankfurt. Now, Napoli, they've had a bit of a mixed start to the Champions League so far. Their most recent defeat was a 6-2 loss away at PSV. They were absolutely battered in that one. Their opening game, of course, if you remember, they lost 2-0 to Man City away from home. They did have a red card early on, but their home game, in their second game, they did win 2-1 against Sporting Club Portugal. I'm going to fancy them here with the home advantage. Eintracht Frankfurt have only had 5 1s in their results, which is incredible. They won 5-1 against Galatasaray in their opening game. They then lost 5-1 to Atletico Madrid. And then they've lost 5-1 to Liverpool. So maybe I should go 5-1, but I'm going to go 3-1 to Napoli. I know Napoli were terrible last time against PSV, but the quality of De Bruyne and Højlund, and with the home advantage, I think they're going to win this one. 3-1 to Napoli is my prediction. Let me know yours down in the comments. The next game we move on to is Slavia Prague versus Arsenal. Top of the table Premier League Arsenal, who I did predict to win 2-0 away at Burnley, and I got it spot on. I'm really starting to believe that Arsenal are going to win something this season, and right now they've got to be the favourites to win the Premier League. They just look so much better than everyone else, even though you could say performance-wise they're not even scintillating, they're just very efficient, and I think that will be the case again here. To be fair, let's give Arsenal their credit. In their last Champions League game they won 4-0 against Atletico Madrid. They were ruthless and made Atletico Madrid pay for not taking their chances. In fact, Arsenal haven't conceded a goal in the Champions League so far because they won their other 2 games, 2-0 against Athletic Club and 2-0 against Olympiacos. On the other hand, Slavia Prague have picked up 2 points from their opening 3 games. They drew with Bodo Glimt in their opening game 2-2. They lost 3-0 to Inter, and then they drew 0-0 with Atalanta. Slavia Prague could really do with their first win, but I'm going to go for Arsenal again, and I'm going to go 2-0 to the Gunners. Maybe, once again, Victor Gyökeres to pop up with a goal. He got one against Burnley. I'm going to say he gets one here, and Arsenal win 2-0 again. Next up then, and it's Atletico Madrid versus Union Saint-Gilloise. Now, Union Saint-Gilloise have had a pretty strange start to the Champions League. They did win their opening game 3-1 away at PSV, and then they were destroyed by Newcastle 4-0 at home, and then they lost at home again to Inter Milan 4-0 last time. Maybe it suits Union Saint-Gilloise to be away from home. However, I think Atletico Madrid are going to win this one. Now, I know they got smashed by Arsenal in the last Champions League game. Did they deserve to lose 4-0? Probably not, let's be honest. They did have some chances that they really should have taken. And in their other results, they lost narrowly 3-2 to Liverpool and won at home to Eintracht Frankfurt 5-1. I'm going to go for Atletico Madrid to win this one. I think they've just got way too much quality. I fancy Alvarez for a goal, and I'm going to go 4-0 to Atletico Madrid. They're going to show a reaction after that defeat to Arsenal last time, and for Union Saint-Gilloise, that would be 3 4-0 defeats in a row. The next game is Bodo Glimt versus Monaco, a really big game because they both haven't won yet, and we're getting to that stage now where you need your first Champions League win. If you're going to qualify, you really need to pick up those first 3 points. To be fair to Bodo Glimt, they've picked up 2 draws. They did draw their opening game away at Slavia Prague that we've touched on. They also drew 2-2 against Tottenham, and then last time they lost 3-1 to Galatasaray away from home. I do like Bodo Glimt when they've got the home advantage, but Monaco could so easily get something from this one as well. They've struggled to win, of course, as I've touched on, drawing with Tottenham and Man City. They've lost to Club Brugge as well, so it's been a bit of a mixed start. You've got Ansu Fati in this Monaco team, but then you've got Kasper Hogg in this Bodo Glimt team. I'm going to go with home advantage and say Bodo Glimt win 2-1 to secure their first Champions League win. The next game then is between Juventus and Sporting Club Portugal. Decent start from Sporting Club Portugal. Juventus, on the other hand, have had a difficult start. Juventus drew 4-4 with Borussia Dortmund, 2-2 with Villarreal, and then last time they lost away at Real Madrid. Surely Juventus will get their first Champions League win of the season here. Remember, they've got quality in this team with Yildiz and Vlahovic. But Sporting aren't to be underestimated. They have won 2 of their 3 games so far, both of them coming at home, to be fair. Of course, in their opening game, they smashed Kairat 4-1. Then they went to Napoli and lost 2-1. And then they just beat Marseille at home 2-1. And I like the firepower they've got, as we've touched on before, with Trincao and Suarez. I'm going to just back Juventus to get their first Champions League win of the season and say 2-1 to the home team again. I'm just going with the Italian side here. After that, we go to Anfield for Liverpool versus Real Madrid. I'm very excited for this one. It really should be a classic because it is 2 of the heavyweights of the European stage. Real Madrid, the most successful team in Champions League history. Liverpool, the English champions, of course, from last season, and the most successful English team in European history. It's difficult. Liverpool have been going through a bad run recently, but they did beat Aston Villa at the weekend and they looked a lot better. Is it going to be a false dawn? Has this Real Madrid game come too early? Do Liverpool need a few more games to really start building? I don't know. There's something about Liverpool and Anfield under the lights on a European night. But that said, Real Madrid have so much quality, don't they? With Mbappe and Bellingham and Vinicius. Real Madrid so far have won all 3 games. They beat Marseille, Kairat and Juventus. Liverpool, on the other hand, have won 2 out of their 3 games. They beat Atletico Madrid. They did lose to Galatasaray, but then they smashed Eintracht Frankfurt. I'm going to sit on the fence, but I'm going to go for a good game. 2-2, which I think both teams would be relatively happy with. Real Madrid are probably slight favourites with the bookies. I haven't checked, to be fair. But maybe with the home advantage, Liverpool might get something. 2-2. Next then, and we go to Olympiacos versus PSV. Well, we touched on that result for PSV last time in the Champions League. They smashed Napoli 6-2 to get their first Champions League win of the season. They take on Olympiacos away from home, who are looking for their first Champions League win, of course. They drew 0-0 with Paphos, lost 2-0 to Arsenal, and then last time lost 6-1 to Barcelona. The only goal coming through El Kaabi, who I do rate. I did highlight him before that game, and he is always a player to watch out for. However, I'm just going to back PSV here. I'm going to go 2-1 to the away side. I thought PSV was so fantastic against Napoli. That performance was really impressive. They've got lots of quality in this team that we've highlighted before. Veerman, Till, Perisic. I'm going to go 2-1 to PSV. Next up then, let's go to PSG versus Bayern Munich. How about this? First versus second. Of course, this was a Champions League final 5 years ago. This is tricky. This is so difficult. PSG have been very, very good and they are so dangerous. Of course, they won the Champions League last year and they've kind of carried on from where they've left off. If you look at the results, they beat Atalanta 4-0, Barcelona 2-1, Bayer Leverkusen 7-2. But Bayern Munich are also scoring lots and lots of goals in the Bundesliga and in the Champions League. They beat Chelsea 3-1, Paphos 5-1 and Club Brugge 4-0. This is so difficult. You've got Kane, Elise, Diaz on Bayern Munich's team, but then for PSG, you've got the quality of Dembele, you've also got Doué and Kvaratskhelia. I'm going to say 2-2. I'm sitting on the fence again, sorry. I do slightly prefer PSG's chances, but I think Bayern Munich have been so impressive. So 2-2 is my prediction. Let me know yours. Next up then to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as Spurs take on Copenhagen. Spurs lost to Chelsea at the weekend in the Premier League and it didn't look very good, did it, with Jed Spence not wanting to shake Thomas Frank's hands. Tottenham have had a good start to the season as far as results are concerned. However, performances haven't been great. I suppose it is a bit of a shock to the system to go from Ange Postecoglou to Thomas Frank. However, the results are better. So I think Tottenham might not play particularly great. It might not be that exciting, but I'm going to back them to beat Copenhagen here. So far, Tottenham haven't lost yet in the Champions League. 5 points from 3 games. They won at home to Villarreal and then they've drawn away at Bodo Glimt and against Monaco. Copenhagen drew 2-2 with Bayer Leverkusen. They then lost to Qarabağ and lost to Borussia Dortmund. I'm going to say Tottenham 1-0. I think they're just going to do it like Richarlison or Brennan Johnson. One goal and that's it. Share your thoughts down below. Next then we go to Paphos versus Villarreal. A big game because they both need their first Champions League win of the season. Paphos, to be fair to them, making their debut this season, have picked up 2 draws so far and 2 clean sheets. They drew 0-0 with Olympiacos. They lost 5-1 to Bayern Munich, but then they drew 0-0 with Kairat. Missed opportunities. They'll be wanting to win this one. They've got the quality of Pepe and Anderson Silva. However, Villarreal, they lost 1-0 to Tottenham. They drew 2-2 with Juventus, and then last time they lost to Manchester City, and they've got the quality of Nicolas Pepe and Buchanan. I'm going to say 0-0. I think Paphos have been pretty good at grinding out clean sheets. However, I don't think they're going to win. So I'm going to go for a 0-0. Share your thoughts. The next game is between Qarabağ and Chelsea, and I will say credit to Chelsea because they did beat Tottenham at the weekend in the Premier League, which I didn't predict, so fair play. They go away to Qarabağ here, and of course, so far in the Champions League, Chelsea have picked up 6 points. After losing to Bayern Munich in their first game, they've beaten Benfica and Ajax at Stamford Bridge. Can they go and get an away win in this competition now? Qarabağ have been pretty good, of course. They won their first 2 games, but last time they lost to Atletico 3-1. I think this game might have goals, and I'm going to back Chelsea. Qarabağ 2, Chelsea 3 is my prediction here. Chelsea have been pretty good lately, a little bit inconsistent, but I think they'll win this one. 3-2 to the Blues. Next up, Ajax take on Galatasaray. Bottom of the table Ajax as well. They've been terrible so far. Their results have seen them lose 2-0 to Inter Milan, 4-0 to Marseille, and 5-1 to Chelsea. So it might not come as a surprise that I'm going to back Galatasaray. Now I do like Galatasaray more at home, and that's been amplified by their results so far, losing 5-1 away to Eintracht Frankfurt, but then beating Liverpool and Bodo Glimt at home. I'm going to back Galatasaray to win this one 2-1. I think the quality of Icardi and Yilmaz, they're just going to have too much for this Ajax team that are going to be desperate to win, but just keep losing. The next game then is between Benfica and Bayer Leverkusen, 2 teams that also haven't won in the Champions League so far, so it will be a desperate affair where both are going to try to win it. Difficult to predict though, I must say. Benfica so far this season have lost 3-2 at home to Qarabağ. They lost 1-0 to Chelsea, and then when they came back to England, they lost 3-0 to Newcastle. On the other hand, Bayer Leverkusen did draw their opening 2 games. They drew 1-1 with PSV and 2-2 with Copenhagen before that crazy defeat to PSG last time, 7-2. Granted, PSG are unbelievably good. I'm going to predict 1-1. I slightly prefer Bayer Leverkusen's chances, but Benfica have the home advantage. So I'm going to go for a draw, which once again isn't really helpful for either. The next game is between Club Brugge and Barcelona. Club Brugge so far in the Champions League have picked up 3 points when they beat Monaco on the opening day. Since then, though, they've lost away to Atalanta and away to Bayern Munich 4-0 last time. Barcelona, they won their opening game 2-1 away at Newcastle. They then lost 2-1 at home to PSG, and then last time they smashed Olympiacos 6-1. Barcelona surely have too much quality. You never know, there's surely going to be one upset in the Champions League somewhere here, but I just don't see it happening here though. I think recently we've seen Lopez, Yamal, Rashford looking really good in the Champions League, so I'm going to back Barcelona to get more goals. 3-1 to Barcelona is my prediction for this one, which would make it 3 wins out of 4. The next game is between Inter Milan and Kairat. Inter Milan have had a really successful start to the Champions League. They currently sit 3rd after winning 3 games out of 3 and not conceding a single goal so far. Kairat, on the other hand, it might not come as a surprise that they've not won yet. They did get their first point last time against Paphos at home, 0-0, but before that, of course, they got smashed by Sporting and 5-0 at home to Real Madrid as well. I'm going to go Inter Milan 4-0 again, because Inter did win 4-0 last time against Union Saint-Gilloise, and I think at home, with the quality they've got, they could cut Kairat right open. So 4-0 is my prediction, but it could be 5 or 6. The next game is at the Etihad, and this one will be good. Manchester City versus Borussia Dortmund. Now, Manchester City are a strong tip to go quite far in the Champions League, of course. Also in contention to win the Premier League this season. They've got lots of quality. They've got Guardiola. However, Borussia Dortmund have really impressed me in the Champions League so far. And in all 3 games, they've scored 4 goals so far. A 4-4 draw against Juventus, a game they really should have won, to be fair. They then beat Athletic Club 4-1, and then last time they went away and won 4-2 against Copenhagen. Garassi, in particular, very dangerous player, but Manchester City have Haaland, who's just bound to get a goal. I'm going to say 2-1 to Man City. I think Borussia Dortmund have been really good, and I think they will go far, but I do think Man City at home might just edge it. Let me know your thoughts on that one. It's another good game. Next up then, we have Newcastle versus Athletic Club. Newcastle United, a really good recovery from them in the Champions League after that 2-1 defeat to Barcelona in their first game. Granted, a very good team, and Marcus Rashford was brilliant on that day. Since then, though, they have won 4-1 away at Union Saint-Gilloise, and then last time they won 3-0 at home to Benfica. They do come into this game on the back of losing to West Ham in the Premier League at the weekend. Not the best performance from Newcastle, I must say. I do like them at home though, and Athletic Club have just not been great so far. They did beat Qarabağ last time 3-1, but they've only picked up 3 points in their opening 3 games so far. They did lose the other 2 games to Arsenal and Borussia Dortmund. I'm going to go 2-0 to the Geordies, which would be really impressive, by the way. That would be 3 wins out of 4 for Newcastle, and it would really put them in contention to finish in that top 8 and go straight through into the round of 16. Share your thoughts on that one down below. The final game then is between Marseille and Atalanta. I think it would be a good game, maybe a close one. Marseille so far have only picked up 3 points, of course. They lost their opening game 2-1 to Real Madrid. They then won at home to Ajax 4-0. Ajax are losing to everyone, to be fair. And then last time they lost 2-1 to Sporting. Atalanta, on the other hand, they lost their opening game 4-0 to PSG. After that, they did win 2-1 against Club Brugge, and then last time they drew 0-0 with Slavia Prague. Now, I do like Kristovic, but surely Marseille have a bit more firepower going for them with the likes of Paxao and Aubameyang and Greenwood. I'm going to say 2-1 to Marseille. I'm just going to back them to get their 2nd win in the Champions League this season. 2-1 to the French team. There you go then, guys. That wraps up my predictions. Plenty of big games coming this week. Share your predictions down below. In particular, I'm looking forward to Liverpool v Real Madrid, PSG v Bayern Munich, and Man City v Borussia Dortmund. But there's loads of really good games this week, so share your thoughts down below. Make sure, if you've enjoyed the video, to drop a like. It takes 2 seconds. Be sure to subscribe as well. It also takes 2 seconds, and it really helps the channel. I'll see you for more Champions League predictions later in November. Take care, guys. Peace out.